boundless motherly love. A heartwarming true story about a dog who became the mother of 2 lion cubs abandoned by their birth mother at a small wildlife sanctuary called White Lion, nestled in the heart of nature. A story once unfolded that touched the hearts of people and animals alike. A story not just about instinct, but about the profound beauty of motherhood that transcends species and survival. On a peaceful day in September, at this sanctuary, a lioness named Amara, rescued from the wild after barely surviving a severe illness, gave birth to a pair of lion cubs, 1 male, 1 female. But the joy didn't last. Amara, deeply scarred from her past trauma, never developed her maternal instinct. She turned her back on her newborns, refusing to feed, lick, or even acknowledge them. For 3 days, the tiny cubs, who had never known the warmth of their mother, lay curled up, whimpering weakly, barely breathing. Even the seasoned sanctuary staff, used to witnessing the harsh realities of nature, were deeply moved. On the 4th day, they had no choice but to remove the cubs from Amara. At that point, the little ones were in severe malnutrition, their eyes glazed, their bodies frail like twigs, their lives hung by a thread, like candles flickering in the wind. Veterinarians fought tirelessly, hour by hour, feeding them formula milk through bottles. Every drop of milk felt like a desperate battle for life. Miraculously, after a week, the cubs stabilized. They were no longer in immediate danger, but everyone knew formula milk could never replace a real mother. Without natural milk, warmth, protection, and guidance, the cubs would grow up weak, mere shadows of the fierce African predators they were meant to be. Just when all hope seemed lost, a miracle came knocking. A family from a nearby city contacted the sanctuary. They said, "We have an 8-year-old German Shepherd named Luna who just gave birth. If you need her, Luna is ready." Luna, a strong, intelligent dog who had once raised a litter of 8 pups, was brought to the sanctuary, entrusted with an unimaginable task: to become the surrogate mother of 2 lion cubs. When Luna entered the enclosure where the frail cubs lay, the entire staff held their breath. A dog, standing before 2 lion cubs. No one knew what to expect. But then, the impossible happened. Luna didn't bark, she didn't growl. She slowly walked forward and lay down. The 2 cubs raised their heads as if recognizing something deeply familiar. They crawled toward Luna and began to nurse. The sanctuary staff burst into tears. They had hoped, they had prayed, and now they were witnessing true motherhood bloom between 2 different species. From that day forward, Luna became the real mother to those abandoned lion cubs. She fed them. She cleaned their tiny bodies to prevent infections. At night, she curled around them, keeping them warm through the cold forest air. When one cub developed a fever, Luna stayed beside her all night, never once closing her eyes. The male cub grew fast and strong. The female was weaker, often ill, but Luna never showed favoritism. She cared for both with unconditional love. Under Luna's watchful care, the cubs flourished. They began to play, pounce, and cuddle like any children would. Despite being much smaller than them, Luna treated them as her own, never once complaining. But time moved on. The cubs soon grew larger than Luna herself. Their teeth sharpened, their claws extended. The sanctuary staff began to worry about Luna's safety, and so, with heavy hearts, they returned her to her family. On the day of parting, Luna turned back one last time, looking at the enclosure where her cubs stood. She didn't bark, she didn't cry, only a quiet, calm gaze, filled with love and peace. The cubs, though saddened, had grown strong enough to continue on their own. They were transferred to a larger space, healthy, playful, and already showing the majestic presence of future kings and queens of the savannah. 2 years passed. Luna had aged, but her heart remained as it once was, full of love. At the invitation of the sanctuary's director, her family brought her back to meet the children she had once raised. When Luna stepped into the enclosure, the staff held their breath once more. The lion cubs were now fully grown, majestic, powerful, no longer the cuddly babies of yesterday. They looked up. They saw Luna. 1 second, 2, and then They ran to her. They didn't growl. They didn't hesitate. They lowered their heads and nuzzled against Luna, as if no time had passed at all. They lay beside her, curling into her fur like little kittens once again. Luna lowered her head and gently licked each of their foreheads. The staff couldn't hold back their tears. Luna's owner stood frozen and softly whispered, "I never thought that love between a mother and her children could transcend species. But now, I believe it. Because motherhood doesn't require shared blood. It only requires a heart big enough to love." And Luna, that brave, selfless dog, had shown the world what true motherhood looks like.